one. If it opens to the chat.
Yep, that's what I do.
Thank you for joining us for the August 21st, 2023 East Aurora Village Board meeting. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Maureen, could I have a roll call attendance, please?
Trustee Lizikas.
Here.
Trustee Cameron.
Here.
Trustee Vijay.
Here.
Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Shear. Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
5 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the Village Board meeting for August 7, 2023?
So moved.
Moved by Grace,
Second.
second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract 2023-2024 fiscal year for voucher numbers 63839 to 63872 for a total of $21,221.99.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second. Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. All right, this is our first speakers and communications. There will be a second one at the end of the meeting. If you have something you'd like to talk about that is not going to be covered in a public hearing, now would be the time to raise your hand. Otherwise, you will get an opportunity to speak throughout the 7 public hearings if that is why you're here to talk. Miss? Yeah, visibility code, you can talk at either one. Where is the visibility code?
It was in
Nancy
this thing.
Smith, 195 Sycamore.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. I guess first I'd like to thank Liz for chatting with me on Friday. We had a little talk about the code. My tree lawn is impacted as well. And it's something that's pretty near and dear to my heart. I've been working on my native plant garden in the front yard for about 5 years now. And I just took out my measuring tape, and a lot of my plants are between the 2 feet you were discussing and 3.
And
So zigzag goldenrod that lives in the Niagara Gorge. My nodding onions, 2 feet would chop the flower off of all of them. So Liz actually suggested that perhaps if we move forward with whichever height you pick, that there would be an interest in having the website list some native plants that can grow in the harsh environment that is the tree lawn. As Ernie mentioned last time, there's a ton of interest in pollinators, and the Lane Conservancy brought this pretty extraordinary author by Zoom a couple years ago, and his talk has been viewed 10,000 times. I'm more than happy to share it with all of you. I also have 2 copies of his book. I'm happy to lend a book if you prefer to read a book, and just his message in 2 sentences. Because this, Steve, was to your point of, what does it matter what we do in our own yards? And I've spent 20 years working on wild places, and it's not enough. He says, it's increasingly clear, as we shall see in his book, that much of our wildlife will not be able to survive unless food, shelter, and nest sites can be found in suburban habitats. Which animals will make it and which will not? We help make this decision every time we plant and remove something from our very own yards. So whether it's the water quality, the habitat, the pollinators, and for me, another big thing is actually the beauty. I've never been on a garden walk before, but this year Ellen convinced me to be on the garden walk. It's almost an economic development thing for you guys. So we had 100 gardeners come on 2 days, year 2 of the garden walk. And one of the things that I feel about being in the front yard and having that garden there is it's about making this a neighborhood. I can't tell you how many people stop and say, your garden is so beautiful. We see so many butterflies. Thank you for what you're doing. Final piece, I hope that before there's a hearing on this issue, This law, the middle of the block is a little different than the way the ordinance is written. Because are you talking about the tree lawn, which is between the street and the sidewalk? Because that's super variable. I just drove around with my measuring tape. On Elm Street, it's 2.5 feet. On Main Street, it's 13 feet. So what exactly are you regulating? And I hope that that's clear in whatever you're putting forward before there's a hearing on
Nancy, can I ask you, you're such a great resource. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
it. Not at all.
So are you suggesting make it 2 feet, but allow like basically a variance for native plants to go up to 3 or to go over 3?
I would love it to be 3, because I don't know that there's some law, it has to be the same on the corner where you have tons of traffic than a driveway.
Right, and that's the thing, it's all visibility is what we're worried about,
It's also,
safety.
and this is what Liz pointed out, it's density. So I have a bunch of pictures and I just couldn't get everything as organized as I wanted for you guys tonight. I'm happy to give a tour of my tree lawn at any time, but it's not dense, so you can see through it. So I think that's a factor. If it was 3 feet and not dense, maybe that's okay.
So maybe leave it to the code enforcement officer to decide if it's actually impeding visibility where a child could get backed over, or if it's safe to.
And there's professor that I know, Linda Schneekloth at the university, and she had sent me some things that they were more performative based as opposed to a straight, this is the rule. So I'm happy to work on it and maybe not setting a hearing right away to allow a little more time to come up with language that's really helps the community.
Okay. Do you know anything about bees?
Not as much as Dave Librock.
Okay. I'll call Dave. I just found out I got 2 different hives in the ground in my front yard on both sides.
No.
I'm like, I can't get rid of them, but I don't want, someone to walk into them.
My husband dressed up, duct tape, gloves on, and you can put your shop vac and just vacuum them out. You watch with binoculars to make sure they stop coming out. So,
Well, wait, but
pesticide free. Yeah.
but
said
and
where
then
you
let them
go
go
after that?
somewhere?
No, they're dead.
That's what.
Yellow jackets.
Not yellow jackets. They're little pollinating bees. They look like honeybees, but I know the ground bees from what I've been reading.
Bees.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
roll that over. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She's not
If you
giving-
could read a bunch of books on ground bees, and let me know, that would be awesome.
Then she's not gonna give you the answer.
No, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? Ellen?
Ellen Muma, 423 Oakwood Avenue.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi. I believe my garden was shown at a recent meeting. I got pretty much all my information from this book, which is Native Plants for Your Garden, put out by it's a Western New York Guide, and it's put out by Buffalo Niagara Waterkeepers. And I'm very interested in providing habitat for birds and for bees. So many people this year have told me they've seen maybe one bee in their yard. Well, I've had hundreds because of the plants that I've planted, and it's native food for native bees. And also so many nestings of birds at my house this year. I think I very well might have had 5 nesting seasons because of how the weather, of course, has been good for that, but also I provide water and native plants, and I don't use pesticides on my lawn, and all the things that we all should be doing. But I feel as though I kind of want to be at the vanguard of educating more people to do what I am doing, and that we could really, as a village, be, that could be another one of the things that we're known for, that we provide shelter using native plants. And one thing that there's a tip in here regarding the 3-foot height a tip from a landscape architect unnamed, use plants of varying type and size to provide multiple layers for bird habitat. For example, mixing shrubs and grasses with maximum cover, food source, and nesting materials. So to have only one, 3 feet, he's suggesting or she's suggesting, may not be the best thing for our, our birds and other creatures. I got rabbits now too in my yard. So anyway, I just wanted to speak to you all and hope that you'll be kind to the native plants.
Did you plant stuff that deer don't eat? I don't see the deer really working over that patch in the front yard you have.
Right. No, I did use Milorganite though, which is a fertilizer, but also it's from a human product.
Mhm.
It's been used.
Not made from humans.
Oh, yeah. It
Oh.
doesn't have a smell at all, but it's
Okay. that's
made
humans.
from humans. And and the deer can smell that it's from humans, even though we can't. And I think that had a lot to do with why I didn't have any damage at all in the front. Yeah. They did eat my Solomon seal early on in the spring. So it wasn't perfect, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, closing our first speakers and communications. Again, you'll have another opportunity at the end of the meeting. Opening our first public hearing. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for the site plan application for Rob Fontaine, 44 Main Street, to build a garage and storage structure at opening at 7:13 p.m.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second. Second by Grace. Further discussion? Excuse me, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The public hearing is open. Is the applicant here? Would they like to say anything about their project?
Come on up, please.
Come on up, applicant.
Names and addresses, please.
I'm Greg Schneider, the architect, 686 Quaker Road, East Aurora.
And I am Rob Fontaine, owner at 484.
Thank you.
Want to give us a high level?
Yes, we have a proposal to do a new detached garage in the rear yard of 484 Main Street to basically help support that building. There is a small detached garage there right now that's undersized for parking and snow removal equipment and so forth. So we proposed the plan, had a little side yard setback variance approved on it to maintain the building near the east side, allowing us some space on the west side for storm drainage. And we also met with the planning board and followed their recommendations to upgrade the siding on the exterior to more closely match the existing office building at 484 Main.
Okay. So you're going from 22 by 14 to the whole building will be, what, about 50 by 50 altogether, right? You're adding a 31 by 40?
Well, the existing one's getting demolished.
Right.
The existing garage is demolished, and then the new garage is 41 by.
Because the speaker said
31
add a garage
31 by
addition
40.
to the existing garage.
31.
Does that matter?
Other.
Oh, good, just get
It's a
clarification.
new garage, because the existing will be demolished in the process. We did do a study of, could we add to that existing garage when Rob first got us involved, but the existing garage does not have like a 4-foot foundation, it's just a garage on a slab, so. Although the building was in relatively decent shape to tie in to a building that doesn't have a slab, with one that would have full depth footings is.
The only reason it came up was because the seeker form you filled out said you were adding it to an existing, not replacing an existing.
I see.
So what does that mean?
It means you can accept it as a replacement, just make
Yeah.
sure it's within, some minutes.
Okay,
That's a
yeah,
replacement.
you can add to it, as you said, in the minute. Kind of an amendment to it, that's okay.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Thanks for changing the siding for the planning commission's request.
One of the planning commissions was saving the large oak tree in the back. We're gonna preserve that tree too.
Yes, yeah, we're maintaining that tree. That's part of the reason for the building positioning. And we also, just clarified our lighting plan, so all the exterior lights are downlight to the crowd, not hitting the neighbor, but giving us some security on all four sides of that new building.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone from the public like to speak on this project? All right, bring it back to the board. You guys have any other questions for him while we're on it? All right. I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:17 PM.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is closed. I get a motion to open a public hearing for a local law to make several amendments to the village code. And we're talking 7:17 PM.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
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 Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Public hearing is open. Before we open it to the public, Maureen, do you or Chris want to talk on this? Or Liz?
So
Is all you, Liz?
mostly,
Is all your stuff?
mostly.
Okay.
A couple of clerical things, a couple of clerical changes. For the building, the unsafe building section was just a code section change to reflect the new fire prevention chapter. Our address needed to change for the building department, so they just put the building department. And then the HPC, we were looking to make sure that for his certificate of appropriateness, that it was on the form provided by the village and the fee being paid. So they're basically just clerical things that we are correcting.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
So now now it's not okay to demolish a building that's smaller than 200 square feet,
correct,
regardless of age.
correct.
So everything will need an approval.
It always has. It doesn't need, no, it doesn't need
Wait.
approval. Doesn't always need an approval. What it means is that it needs a permit.
A
That's
permit
what
to
the
do.
right,
So right now we refer to the HPC,
for buildings that are over 500 square feet
500.
and over 50 years old.
right? And that doesn't affect that. This doesn't affect that at all.
No, it just,
Okay.
the practice that we've always had is all demolitions require a permit for several reasons. But the code, when it got updated, they put in this provision to not require a demolition permit for structures that small. But we still want to see those structures. We still want to see the permits for those structures for
Okay.
demolition.
Okay.
Yep. That's it.
Anything else that we haven't covered that's in this? These
No, it's mostly. Kind of clerical type of issues like changing. Buildings and structures, make it a little broader. The other things are, as Liz said, addresses, things like that.
Okay.
Nothing of great substance.
Maureen, nothing to add? Okay. Does anyone from the public want to speak on this? Very good. Board, any other follow-up before we move on?
No.
Fine. I got a motion to close the public hearing at 7:20 PM.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second. Second by Molly for the discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is closed. I get a motion to open a public hearing regarding a site plan application for Clark and Katie Crook, 189 Main Street, replacing the existing concrete patio.
So moved.
7:20 PM, moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is open. Would the applicant like to give us a little high level? Please.
Hello, I am John Crook, 370 Linden. Basically what the project is we installed these accordion doors that are basically these big window panels on the front of the building. They accordion open, so it feels like the building is kind of open to the outside. To become compliant with the liquor authority, we need to have a railing around those windows demarking where liquor can be sold. Because they accordion out, the railing needs to kind of jut out. The window panels are 2 feet, so we need it to be about 2.5 feet just to give them clearance to open. That being said, we need to change the concrete because we'd have to get custom metal railing that would look wonky because it's currently pitched out. So we need to just raise it about 2 inches so the railing is even with the ground.
So it's gonna be 2 of them in front of your 2 new accordion style windowy door things.
Correct.
They go out 3 feet over 6 and back in.
Correct.
And that'll just be all railing.
That's it.
Are you gonna be putting chairs or anything out there, or are people gonna stand out there with their cocktails on a warm day?
Possibly,
Okay.
but we're not serving out
Can
there.
I stand out there
You sure
with
can.
my cocktail?
You sure
That's
can.
why I was asking.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Anything else to add?
Nope.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public want to speak on this? Board have anything to follow up with? Very good. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:22 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Public hearing is closed. I get a motion to open a public hearing at 7:22 PM. Regarding the special use permit for Tim McGee and Chris Contento, 425-433 Prospect Avenue to convert the existing 3rd floor into 4 additional dwelling units.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Molly, second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is open. Are the applicants here to shed a little light on this project, please?
I'm Chris Contento, 2434 Lapham Road. 78-655 Porterville Road. And what we've been working through the various meetings with architect Josh is converting the 3rd floor of this current 8-unit building on Prospect, which I'm sure you've all seen before, into 4 additional apartments on the top. And then also kind of doing some updates as far as adding parking spaces, rejuvenating the front to the extent possible, removing this mansard, and making some general internal improvements with fire safety, sprinklers.
You said you're removing the mansard roof? Turning it back to look more like the original?
Yeah, so, yeah, we did have the original on there. I don't know if you guys got your packets or had a chance to review it. There was a picture of it dating back to its original state.
Yeah, I like that old picture. I'm glad you included that. And you're gonna have sliding glass doors that don't really go anywhere. There's just gonna be little kind of open balcony. Not even really a balcony, right? How far does it even come out?
Yeah.
Off the
choose that
building.
balcony, so there'll be a place here to stop you from falling over.
Yeah.
The idea is to just kind of still connect you. It's a Prospect out there because you don't have a porch, and hopefully you can open that up in the spring and summer and still feel like you're part of the village on the 3rd floor.
And you're gonna have a stairway in the back, right? And it goes up to a hall, and the hall goes all down, connects all 4.
We have to add a second stairwell, so there'll be 2 means of egress.
Right.
That's gonna be added. That's the only expansion of the footprint is to add the stairwell.
No elevator or anything.
But we are adding a whole new fire suppression system on the 3rd floor.
Great. And you're adding 11 parking spaces to the existing 12.
Correct.
Are you gonna mess with that big tree back there? You're not. Great.
That was never our intention from the beginning.
Good.
Kind of unnecessary costs if it can be avoided.
Mhm.
Also, it's a tree, you don't want to take it down. So we do have a updated parking plan that shows clearly where the tree is in relation to where the parking spots in
Mhm.
general will be.
Okay, good.
And by all means, we don't want to absorb the cost or that will be created by taking that tree down. So
Yeah, I saw the plan where it kind of came right up to it, and I'm like, it's still gonna be there. Is that
it's like
where it is
there-
now? And it's not gonna be there. So I wanted to ask.
Yeah, the parking is a concern of some of the surrounding neighbors, so we want to make sure we do and alleviate that, but we also want to protect as much green space back there as we can.
To 4 units and 11 more spaces. So it's almost 3 spaces. Is there not enough parking right now for the current buildings?
Yeah, currently. Not.
Okay.
So there's
Right. That brings you up to code. Yeah, because you see a lot of the cars parked on the street in front and everything. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Anyone from the public have any comment on this project? Back to the board, any follow-up right now, this time? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:26 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second by Molly, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing at 7:26 PM for the site plan application for Tim McGee and Chris Contento, 425-433 Prospect Ave to convert the existing third floor into 4 additional dwelling units?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second
Second.
by Steve, for the discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, public hearing's open. Anybody from the public want to chime in on this? You guys have anything to add? All right. Take a motion to close the public hearing at 7:26.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second
Second.
by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, public hearing is closed. Excuse me 1 second. Yeah. What's a special use permit? What's a site plan?
Okay.
I saw your head move and I was like, oh. Make sure. Can I get a motion to a public hearing at 7:27 PM for the special use permit for Alexander and Christina Finnerty at 404 Main Street to operate a cafe with outdoor seating?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second by Steve, for the discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is now open. Are the applicants here? Hi. Like to come on up and give us a lowdown, please?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Finnerty and my address is 408 Main Street in East Aurora.
Hi.
Hi. It's my husband, Mike.
Mike,
Hi, same address.
Hi, Mike. Want to let us know what you're up to?
Yes, so this building at 404 Main Street was a learning center for several years. We purchased it a few months ago. And the intention is to convert the main floor, the storefront, into a European style cafe with an outdoor seating area in the front.
So you got Blue Violet too, right?
Yes.
You did a
Yeah.
great job on, at least
Thank
on the
you.
outside. When's that gonna open?
So technically, we do have our certificate of occupancy and it's a studio space for the most part. So we have been using it for our business. And we decided recently to do some retail in the space as well. So it's just taking forever to get all of our inventory in.
Mhm.
So everything is supposed to come this week. So hopefully next week, within the next few weeks, will be more visible to the public, but we are open.
The facade and the patio and what you did with the stairs and everything, blended into the sidewalk, it's beautiful. It's really
Thank
nice.
you.
I used to
Thank you.
deliver Pizzas.
Yeah.
When it
Oh,
was
you
pizza
did.
When it was in there, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Way better.
Small world. Thank
You
you.
don't need me to deliver pizzas, I'll gladly do it.
Okay.
Beautiful building.
Maybe for next door. But yeah, it was quite an undertaking, to be honest. It was,
Bet.
fully gutted when we purchased it. But it's pretty beautiful now. So we'll invite everyone to our grand opening when that happens soon as well.
All right. You guys want to go first? I feel like I'm asking a lot of questions and I got a lot of questions.
All right.
Go
Parking.
for it.
What's your deal with parking? How's
So.
you gonna navigate that?
Well, for the most part, I'm anticipating that the parking will take place on Main Street. We have 7 parking spaces between the 2 buildings. Our building at 408 is typically, we wouldn't need a whole lot of parking for customers, mainly because when we meet with clients, brides, bring a mom, that kind of thing. And for our space at 408, if we do events, classes, flower classes, that kind of thing, we do have an agreement with St. Matthias Church that they're allowing us to use their parking lot and their back park and walkway for that.
Yeah, that little nature walk that comes up the side.
Yes.
It's pretty.
Yes.
Do you also own 402? That's the one behind.
No,
Okay.
No.
So the driveway goes right in between your two buildings?
yes,
And then there's a little apartment building back
Yes,
there,
there
right?
is.
Is it 3 apartments or something?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Liz,
And then-
did you have some?
Excuse me one second, Bob.
Yeah.
And so is all I have follow-up questions to my follow-up questions. So is all the parking back there, the property of 402 on the 402's property?
no, the parking is shared between the three buildings.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
where some of your 7 spaces, or that's where all your 7 spaces are?
That's where all of the spaces for the residents of those buildings, because there are apartment buildings above the storefronts as well.
Okay.
So that would be private parking. That wouldn't be for the public.
Okay. Thank you.
Especially, not only that, but it's a very narrow driveway and I wouldn't want to open that up to the public.
No, that'd be
It's
tricky.
hard to navigate.
Yep. How are you gonna get did you already get approval from the SLA? Or like a soft approval to serve alcohol that close to a school?
So we do have an alcohol lawyer involved.
Okay.
And the law states that if you are serving beer, wine and cider, you literally could be right next door to a school or a church. So the 200 law is only if you're serving hard alcohol, which we do not anticipate to do.
I didn't know that. All right. You answered all my questions.
That was my question.
Was it?
Yeah.
See, you should have gone first. You could have gotten up there. All right, excuse me one second.
Yep.
You picked up your microphone, Liz, you ready?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I just wanted to remind the village board that this property is in the neighborhood commercial, but it's the mid-main overlay. There is a off-street parking exemption for businesses in that zoning district. So so they do have street parking in front of them. There's one across the street there. You can park on both sides. And then St. Matthias Church on occasion. So
How many spots are in front of it? Like,
There are 7 between
right,
after school, obviously.
right.
for
So there's
evening
6 or
hours.
7 between the two buildings there?
And I believe there are an additional 13 in front of the school when school is not in session.
Does it stop in front of the dental? Is there parking right at the edge of that?
I believe there are trying to think, 4 or 5. Yeah, there are 5 between our building and the dentist's office,
Okay.
and then it stops.
And 2 more in front of Blue Vinyl.
2 and, yeah.
So what about the deck in front of the? How's that with the right of way and proximity to 20A and all that?
So, as far as obviously, it's not measured on here, so it's hard for you to see. But, this comes out 12 feet. There are an additional, 4 feet and then the sidewalk and then the street. So between the, front, well, actually, where our steps end at 408 is where that was, we discussed this at the planning board meeting as well. They suggested that the deck be at the
Flush.
same distance as our stairs come out. So
Yeah,
that's
that
what the
makes
plan is.
Okay.
And you're gonna have, I was trying to tell by the picture in the
Yeah, me
plan,
too.
it looks like seats, but it didn't look like tables. Is there gonna be tables and chairs out there?
Yes.
There is, okay.
So
Great, then the public kind of gets to see it anyway. Yeah.
So
I didn't know what those were. They look like lazy boy recliners.
You wish.
bench, low profile bench seating here.
Oh, okay,
And then, these are tables, 2x2 tables
with 1 chair.
with 1 chair.
Now I understand it. All right. Now it makes a lot more sense.
And actually, we've modified this to include another entrance here. So there's a handicap entrance as well as an entrance off of our sidewalk.
Okay.
So there's,
Sure.
right,
Yeah, you don't get bottled up.
right.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Thanks. Anyone from the public want to comment on this project?
I'm Alice Brown. I'm warden at St. Matthias Church. we have an agreement for, I just want to clarify that we have an agreement with parking for special events, but not for the cafe. So I just wanted that on the record.
Just to
Thank you.
clarify. All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public want to speak on this? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:36 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is closed. And this is another, brace yourself, Chris. And I can motion to open a public hearing at 7:36 PM for the site plan application for Alexander and Christina Finnerty, 404 Main Street, to operate a cafe with outdoor seating.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Kristen, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is open. Does anybody want to speak on the site plan application? We've kind of talked about all of it. All right. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:36 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Kristen, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is closed. That's the most public hearings I've ever done in my 20
Yeah.
years on the board.
We made it.
In one night.
Well
Moving
done.
on to what?
Well done.
You did great, everybody. Give yourselves a pat on the back. All right, official considerations. Can I get a motion to make a determination under seeker for a site plan application for Rob Fontaine, 484 Main Street?
Yeah, I'll move for a neg deck under seeker.
Neg deck by Kristen,
Second.
second by Grace. Further discussion?
We just gotta make sure that we make the change to that, Pete,
For the
for the garage.
Yeah.
That- that'll go to
demolish.
the next one.
Oh, that's not on the seeker?
Yeah.
Isn't that on the seeker?
Seeker site plan. It
Well,
was- it was
there's-
wrong on the seeker.
It was wrong on the seeker.
Okay.
This is-
This is seeker.
This is, but anyway,
No.
as amended, you're
We-
gonna do it.
So we're amending it in
To
the site
include-
plan.
Yes. You're amending it twice.
So we should
Both
amend
the
it.
Site plan and in terms of the seeker.
So we should amend it now.
Doing it from the seeker from the standpoint of elimination of the existing 22 by 14 garage.
Okay. Kristen, do you want to amend your motion for seeker to include replacement? Right, not an addition, as well as saving the tree? I don't know if that was actually written into it.
It wasn't in the seeker.
And it's,
That would be in the site plan.
Site plan, yeah.
So for the motion now, you want to make that amendment?
Yes, I would like to make that amendment.
Grace, do you want to second that amendment?
I will second it.
All right.
it's 42 by 40. It's not 31 by 40. It's two different spots. It says two different things.
Yeah, I think that was the size of the addition when it was
Right,
originally.
so it's an addition and the wrong size.
And that's what your amendment is in.
Don't want to be persnickety, but it's 42 by 40.
Yeah, well,
All right, further discussion? Good catch, Mom.
Sure.
All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve the site plan application for Rob Fontaine, 44 Main Street, to build a garage and storage structure.
With the replacing.
So moved.
Do I do that? Is the person making
With-
the motion? Do
I can do it either.
yeah, I'm gonna let them
go
do
ahead.
it.
She's about to do it.
Do it too.
She said with.
I was gonna say, so moved with a garage 42 by 40, a new garage. Right? Not a replacement.
Not a replacement and saving the tree.
And saving the tree.
And it's up to you, but
Oh, no, they're saving the tree.
okay.
No question.
Moved by amended motion moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion. All right, we got all our bases covered? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. And they left. Congratulations. Can I get a motion to approve a local law to make several amendments to the village code as written?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion. Roll call vote. Kristen?
Aye.
Grace?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Opposed? None? Motion passes. I get a motion to make a determination under seeker for a site plan application for Clark and Katie Crook, 189 Main Street, replacing the existing concrete patio.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a site plan application for Clark and Katie Crook, 189 Main Street, replacing the existing concrete patio?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. You get a motion to approve a special use permit for Tim McGee and Chris Contento, 425-433 Prospect, to convert their existing third floor into 4 additional dwelling units.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion?
I just want to note that those 4 additional dwelling units, that goes above the code was already approved by the ZBA, in case people have questions.
Good point. Was there anything else we were concerned about with that, with Emerson Hall? I don't think there was, right?
I think it's a nice improvement.
Yeah,
We
it
need
is,
the housing,
And they're saving the tree.
for sure.
they're saving the tree.
And we're saving the tree.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I feel like those are switched around. Excuse me. Why is seeker after the special use permit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Can we still?
yeah,
we
it's
can
supposed
still
to be.
do them just in order when it's not.
Yeah.
Ruining democracy.
Special use permit within that resolution, the second seeker is for.
Just for the site plan. All right, can I get a motion to make a determination under the seeker for a site plan application for Tim McGee and Chris Contento, 425-433 Prospect, to convert their existing third floor into 4 additional dwelling units? Kristen, you know how to word it.
I do, yeah. I'll move for a neg deck under seeker.
Thank you, Kristen. Second?
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a site plan application for Tim McGee and Chris Contento, 425-433 Prospect, converting their existing third floor into 4 additional dwelling units.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations, fellas. I got a motion to approve a special use permit for Alexander and Christina Finnerty, 404 Main Street, to operate a cafe with outdoor seating.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Excuse me, approved. I get a motion to make a determination under seeker for a site plan application for Alexander and Christina Finnerty, 404 Main Street, to operate a cafe with outdoor seating.
So moved.
What are you moving?
With a neg,
Neg.
with a neg deck. There it is.
Second?
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a site plan application for Alexander and Christina Finnerty, 404 Main Street, to operate a cafe with outdoor seating.
So moved.
Moved by Grace,
Second.
second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations. I didn't mean to sound surprised. Approved. Congratulations. I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Doug Bush Erie Cattaraugus Trail Association EA2 EVL Fondo dash. That's it, September 30th, 10 a.m.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? Chief,
No,
you good? This is what, the 3rd year?
I think so. Very good.
Good year. Oh, hey, I remember you from last year. Do you want to say anything about it?
Has it been that long already?
It's the 3rd year of the event. It's raised about $100,000 in the first 2 years.
100,000.
100,000.
Fantastic.
And then probably top another 50 or 60,000 this year. So we
Great.
appreciate the village's support in this. and it's, it made it easy for us. So.
Good. Yeah, you leave 42 North at what, like 10 a.m. or
10
something?
a.m., go through the village and it goes to
Ellicottville.
Right.
And Chief kind of shepherds you
Yep.
through the big intersections early on, then everybody gets spread out.
And they're on their own.
And then they're on their own.
40. So.
Okay, awesome. No incidents in the last 2
No,
years?
no.
Awesome.
Nice.
You need a name and address?
What?
You need a name and address for the record? You all set? Okay.
All right, did anybody have any questions for him while he's here?
No.
All right, great, thank you. All right, it was moved by Grace. Who seconded that, please?
I did.
Kristen did, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve, congratulations. I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for the East Royal High School, September 29th, 1:30 p.m. homecoming parade.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second
Second.
by Grace. Further discussion. I love this event. I love it. Like I love going down and I ride my bike around and watch all the kids. They go by the middle school and they high five all the middle schoolers. Middle schools love it, you know, and they're not too cool for it. Then they get to Parkdale and the Parkdale kids eat it up when the older high school kids all come by.
Sure.
Oh, their face painting with the red and blue and silver and everything. It's just great. Great event. Anybody from the organization here? The school? No, okay.
That sounds a little.
Pretty standard stuff, right? What do they have? A couple cars with floats or the king and queen or something, and that's everybody else on foot, right?
Do the kids still make
No,
fun?
there's flat out.
Yeah. Can't remember.
One per grade, right?
He's too busy riding his bike around.
Yeah, I remember building one.
Trying to get happy.
Oh.
All right. All right, moved by Steve, second by Grace. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to schedule a public hearing for a local law for 285-30.5 visibility, September 18th, 2023.
So moved.
So moved by Molly,
Second.
by Steve for the sake of discussion.
Can I ask a question of Liz?
Oh, yeah.
What, there's a distance for right away, right? Or it's difference everywhere, but it's a certain distance from the center of the street?
Oh, it depends on the street. And I have a list in my office as prepared by the DPW that we utilize. But in general, for properties that have a sidewalk, it typically ends on the building, on the house side of the sidewalk. And yes, some of the tree lawns are really big and some of them are really small. But the tree lawns are within the right of way.
I know that you had done some research on this.
Mhm.
Do other jurisdictions have, I guess what Mrs. Smith was, some latitude in terms of, I guess I feel like it's a slippery slope if we say, hey, Liz, you go out and decide whether something that kind of throws it back on you in terms of
What, how
could
dense
put
is
you in a,
dense?
yeah, what's this
Their
and what's
liability
that
to do
and
that?
how far is this and that? I mean, do other ones have sort of nebulous language like that? Or are they pretty straightforward?
They're all fairly similarly written. So my guess is it may have been a model law at some point in time that was utilized. But then again, there are other municipalities that ban plantings outright in that area. So you can put grass there and there can be street trees there and nothing else is allowed there. You know, the density is, I think an easier, it's easier to understand density of planting. And if you prefer to have a 3-foot height, that's fine. But you know, again, we wouldn't plant a tree in that location. We wouldn't plant bushes in that location because those tend to be, you know, an evergreen tree is going to be a denser tree than a street tree would be.
Yeah, I know we're not supposed to talk about specific lawns, but some of them are just so beautiful, but I'm just so worried about some kid getting pegged on the street.
I mean, to be fair, it's not just kids. It's
Yeah,
adults
or
on bikes.
walker- yeah, I
you
know.
People, runners who run in the
Yeah,
street.
I know.
They're all not visible. When you
No, I
have
went to the
planting.
driveway and I looked around over my right shoulder and I had a hard time seeing
Right.
someone coming east.
Yeah, I think it comes down to safety, and I love Nancy's recommendation of recommending native plants we can plant there that are within the 2-foot height.
Right.
But I think safety is really the end goal here of visibility.
So
Yeah.
what do you see the workload for you if we made it more subjective and up to code enforcement officers enforcement?
Well, it
Chris.
becomes consistency with enforcement, right? If there is a height stated in there that the plants can't be more than 3 feet, that is a very objective measurement, right? Tape measures in my car everywhere I go. That is easy. Density is a little more nebulous, but like if you compare some of the houses on our side, you know, we've got sidewalks that just on the inside of the sidewalk are rows of pine trees or rows of hedges and things like that. I mean, that can affect those are definitely more dense, but again, they're on the building side of the sidewalk, so they're out of that right of way. We wouldn't want it flip-flopped in any way.
If I may, your problem with the density or type of argument is from a prosecution standpoint, enforcing it.
Sure.
You know, set aside the liability just to prosecute something, Liz would be in a horrible position.
Right.
And not to mention, to go along with that, not too many years ago, Main Street was just rebuilt with restrictions that forced buildings to be built up to the sidewalk. Which is the same thing you're talking about coming out of driveways on Main Street.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel that the 3 foot versus the 2 foot would have struck the vision too much if we changed it to that?
No, no, I mean, after speaking with Nancy, I think I honestly could go either way. I keep saying about consistency, but as long as we give a clear definition of what that height allowance is, I think that's an easier way to enforce that.
So we can do 2, we can do
Right,
3, because we have to set it.
Can we do?
Well,
the public hearing?
No, then you gotta have a new one.
We have to have it set before.
Yeah, you gotta do it over again if you change the wording.
Right.
Right.
I think, I'm not an attorney.
So you can change it at a public hearing
Can you?
from
Okay.
the comments
And then.
Okay.
and then vote on it.
Okay. I thought
So
you
we
had
could
to-
go in.
Or
with
you can
it-
do it now.
we could go in with it published at 2 feet for a public hearing, right? And everybody's like, no, what about Nancy's onions? Then we like moved to 30 inches or something, right? I mean, we could do that at that point.
Well,
Sure.
I think we wanted some more time together more, I thought.
Right.
that's what-
I think that's the easy way to go
What's that, Maureen?
Great time.
I can't hear you without the microphone, Maureen.
I was always taught you couldn't do that. You had to rehab a public hearing if they changed it
No,
for a
that
local
is-
law.
Well,
No.
that's the public hearing that you're at, that you're
Yep.
changing it.
But when you make a motion, you can.
But you're
make a motion.
advertising that
Yeah,
to
if
be
you change
reviewed,
it, then
and if
maybe
you
someone-
change it,
so
somebody could
I'm
be
gonna come
offended.
out for 2 feet, but I'll come out for 3 feet.
Yeah.
But you change it, you did a little switcheroo with the actual public hearing. I didn't think you could do it either.
Make
But if
it
you're
not-
soliciting feedback
Yes,
it's
to make a
their-
decision,
Maybe we can, but maybe we shouldn't. We should have it.
isn't the
The way
purpose
we're
of
gonna
it
do
to
it.
get input and then make an
Make
informed
it-
decision?
right.
Yes.
yes.
I mean, that's the
Right.
consistency.
You're
Yeah,
not
okay.
having a second
Once.
public hearing. If you want, you can hold open the public hearing and not make a determination at that time, depending upon the commentary you get.
Sure.
That
We've Done that
happens
plenty.
all the time.
We've done it all the time.
Yeah. But you're not having a second public hearing
Okay.
per se.
Okay, so right now, Molly made the motion, Steve made the second to schedule a public hearing for September 18th.
Correct.
And I now
And it's currently written at
Still-
2 feet, right?
It's currently
Down with
2
that?
feet.
I'm down with that.
and it's written for 2 feet.
Yes.
Yes.
You, again, if you want to change it to 3 now, you can.
I don't want it to make any changes or until I get more information.
All right.
Okay.
Sure.
And that's the consistency is getting public input.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, public hearing is set. Can I get a motion to refer to the planning commission for September 12th, a site plan application for 123 Gray Street, the addition at the back of the plaza for 5 Below.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second. Second, Steve, further discussion, all those in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to refer to the planning commission September 12th, the rezoning request for 49 Knox Road from SFR to GR?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved and referred. Can I get a motion to refer to the planning commission for September 12th, the site plan application for 757 Ellis Drive, the Buffalo Modular Homes to construct a single family residence at the end of that street?
So move.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved and referred. Can I get a motion to refer to the planning commission September 12th, the site plan application for Nicholas Petus Commerce Way 175.10-113.112 to construct a self-storage facility?
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved is referred. Can I get a motion to give permission for the mayor to sign an intermunicipal agreement with the village of Hamburg?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? Who's talking? Matthew?
Do you have any questions?
Why?
Yeah, why did they give you the mic? My
They-
question. No, go ahead, Matt.
They-
What?
they currently
what's this
have-
all about?
they
What's this
cur-
municipal agreement I'm
The,
hearing
the
about?
village of Hamburg currently has 3 sweepers identical to the one that we were trying to sell. We sent ours to auction. It didn't do so well, so we didn't approve the sale and waited, and they contacted the superintendent of Hamburg contacted me and inquired about purchasing it, and here we are.
So it didn't command the price we wanted, and you worked out a deal with Hamburg to get a good buck for it, good return on our investment.
Correct.
And part of that is signing an intermunicipal agreement so that we can then sell it to them.
Correct.
Okay. Moved by Kristen, second by Grace. Any other discussion? Any other questions for Matt? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Can I get a motion for permission for the mayor to sign an agreement for the village of Hamburg to sell our 2010 sweeper as is for $25,000?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? Nice job, Matt.
Good job, Matt.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a request for a 30-day waiver for a liquor license for the deli at 586 Main Street?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve approve a request for a 30-day waiver for a liquor license for Riley Street Station, 27 Riley Street.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? Oh, you're welcome. You bet.
Nice job.
Moved by Kristen, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? And W, can I get a motion to declare surplus property DPW equipment?
What do we got?
Every year we trade in 4 pieces of Bobcat equipment, excavator, 2 skid steers, and a watering truck for the Main Street flowers. And this is the 4 that we are turning back in for the new ones.
So it says a 2023 Bobcat UV 34 utility truck. So we're trading in a 23?
That's, yeah.
Every year we turn in the same equipment and get the new equipment. It's under warranty. It's extremely equitable for us.
Is it like cars that comes out before the following year? No.
Yeah.
It was the 2023 that I was like. It's like cars.
It's like
right?
a car.
Yeah.
6 months early, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well,
All right.
so moved.
Kristen's making the motion. Second?
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Under new business. There's a request for a stop sign on Parkdale at Shear. And is this us referring it to the safety committee?
Well,
Or is this their answer?
be-
We talked
no,
about it before.
we haven't looked at it yet. Before you refer it to us, I don't see a safety issue. I see not wanting traffic on our road, but I don't think that's gonna accomplish anything other than putting in a unnecessary stop sign that's just gonna create more problems than not having a stop sign there. And on top of that, the complaints came in right at the end of the sewer work done on Maple that was diverting more traffic towards Sheer. So we regularly do speed enforcement when we get complaints on there, because we do get them historically over the years. We put our speed monitoring sign on that street. I don't think putting in 2 stop signs on Parkdale is going to make it any safer. It's just gonna create more noise, more squealing tires, more loud exhausts. Than solve anything. I mean, we can look at it if you want, but we're probably gonna come back with it just about the same response.
Should we have them look at it, just say we did our due diligence?
I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us.
Hey.
All right. So we can simply publicly refer that to the safety committee. We don't need to take a vote on that.
I'm not taking any action.
Just referring it to the safety committee, unless someone has a problem with referring to the safety committee.
No, I think.
No issues.
All right. Moving on to B, Gray Street crosswalk.
Yeah, and I can answer that one right now.
Okay.
There is no physical way to put a crosswalk in Boys Alley. With Goodyear, the ophthalmologist, and then across the street, the Plaza parking lot, you can't put one in. But the traffic circle does have pedestrian buttons that can change the light. There is a crosswalk, Matt's got it on his list of paint at Douglas. That goes right to Tops from Douglas. So, and then a sidewalk all the way to, I think it was the farmer's market that was
Right, so walk from the
discussed.
village to the farmer's market, they can cross at Douglas at that.
There's an actual
crosswalk,
ADA
like ramp.
crosswalk,
everything.
ramps, light.
But they gotta
buttons.
cross the Tops entrances.
Yep.
That's the perilous part right there, is people coming in on top. Or flying into the Tops parking lot. And then they can walk on down and the light changes and they can cross that entrance and then they're at the farmer's market.
Yep.
All on sidewalk.
Yep.
And just to clarify, you said you can't put a crosswalk there because of the ophthalmologist Goodyear and the Plaza parking lot.
Yeah,
Why?
I mean, the Plaza, first of all, the Plaza parking lot is wider than Boys Alley.
The
So
entrance.
you couldn't put one at the traffic light. That would work.
Wouldn't line up.
Wouldn't align.
Right.
So that,
Clarification.
yeah. So,
I
but
mean,
there
you
are,
could, it just wouldn't make sense.
yeah, exactly, or it would be.
Well, these go out of-
You'd have to
yeah,
go
right.
sideways across there.
Yeah.
Cause there are the lights, the crosswalk lights at that corner.
There are buttons that control the lights for pedestrians to cross.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's no straight crosswalk.
not
Straight
right,
crosswalk.
right.
Yeah, there's no apron there. Well, at least not.
And just to
Yeah.
clarify too, the letter spoke of the family riding bikes. Crosswalks aren't normally for bikes, they're for pedestrians, so just get that clarification out there.
So what's the board want to do with that one? They're meeting anyway.
Might as well.
Okay, I'll just put ditto to today's date.
Well, we could get formal feedback from
Yeah,
the
right.
safety committee then.
Right, it's following the process.
Absolutely.
All right, and 5C under new business, discuss the field mower.
The parcel down on Girard that the village acquired recently, the field area should be mowed twice a year. And it's roughly $1,000 to rent the mower attachment to mow the field for a week. I would suggest that we buy that attachment because it's probably gonna be a few years before we start to do anything down there.
That'll still be an asset that we could sell if we don't no longer need it, you're saying?
Oh, yeah.
Is there any other place you can use it for? Is it,
If the village buys more property that has fields,
to buy it for one grade seems a little.
What was the cost? 8,000?
8,500. And it's, it would take more than one day to mow that parcel. Probably 3.
I just didn't know if there's any other spot that you could use it on, that's all, yeah. Yeah, you keep your money in 3 years.
What's the next step? What? Here's the microphone Nazi, she deserves this. It's not on, I don't think.
It's not on. You say that again with the microphone on?
Okay, can you hear me now? I need a motion to move $8,500 from the salt budget to the streets budget.
Are we gonna have a shortfall in salt if?
Matt tells me he won't.
Say.
I prefer
So
to
no,
use
we-
other things at this point, but he says that he should be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Because we have an abundance from last year, or
Well, it's supposed to be fairly light this year too. Right? It's
We're
not
not
El Niño
just
year,
gonna stop salting the roads.
they say.
on a
Yeah.
salt budget.
I'm just saying you're moving money from it. I just, if you run out.
We
we're
could
gonna
move
have
it
to
from,
Move it again.
here's my theory. We can move it from contingency, but we have control over contingency and he has control over salt. If we take it out of salt, we can always give him contingency. It restricts the department head to take it from an account they already have. So I would stick with that over taking it
Okay.
from
Let me
contingency.
rephrase my question. Do you anticipate we're gonna have a shortfall anywhere else
No.
because we're moving this $8,500 from? Okay.
We're good.
and is there any possibility of getting this from another town that we sell our stuff for drastically reduced prices when they get old? Any old one we can pick up for less, or is that more, or is it the pull along? Is it like a brush hog that you pull behind the tractor?
That you mount in front of skids.
On a skid steer, not a truck.
So Matt, what are you mowing Fireman's Field with right now?
One of our lawnmowers. The zero turn.
We can't do that, or is it? too
This
time
isn't
consuming?
a regular
Fun?
finish mower for grass. It's specifically for cutting down fields with brush.
Right, but if we paid to get it cut down once, then just mowed it instead of buying another
Might be too
piece of
rough.
equipment.
Except for we'd have to go back through and remove all the stumps that
Oh.
get mowed down. It'd be pretty labor intensive for that. Time consuming.
So it's a front, not a pull along, not a brush hog.
push. You drive forward with it, it sits in front of the machine.
Yeah, I think the Butlands and Walnut used to do that twice a year to that field on Walnut.
Yeah.
But they towed one behind.
Yeah, brush hog.
Well, the difference between the tow behind and the attachment is we don't have a tractor big enough to pull a tow behind. So we'd have to buy a tractor and a mower versus just the brush cutter for the skid steer that we already have.
Let's do it. There's no salt left. Like grappling.
Okay.
All right, does anybody want to make that motion to move 8,500 from the salt fund to the streets fund?
Sure, I'll make the motion.
Moved by Molly, second,
I'll second.
second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved.
Yeah.
No old business. Moving on to our second speakers and communications. This is your last chance to speak publicly. Anybody have anything they'd like to talk about? Raise your hand when recognized. Come on up like Ellen is doing right now.
Hi, Ellen Muma, 423 Oakwood Avenue. I was wondering about getting more parking, striping. on Oakwood Avenue, there seemed to be a lot of reason now with things going on at the campus. And when they can't find parking there at the campus, they pull around and it's, you know, they take up more space than they probably should. I don't know, my husband and I just thought it might be a good thing to put some parking striping on Oakwood, at least on the 400 block where we live, but
You're saying to limit,
no, it won't
No.
limit it. It will make
just
it.
define it?
It will
Yeah, yeah.
define it
Okay.
because now there's all these gaps, but it doesn't fit a car. And I don't know. Anyway,
Kind of like we have down by
Right here.
Wally.
yeah, right
Yeah.
here and around the corner from Elm Street.
Hmm.
There's there's also the striping for the overflow parking. Yeah, thank you.
Matt, if you want to think on that and get back to us.
Yes.
Anybody else, open speakers? Yes?
195 Sycamore. I wish this one wasn't as easy as the other. This is a pickleball thing. First of all, I do really appreciate that we all need to exercise more. And pickleball seems like it's a lot of fun, maybe more fun than what I'm doing right now. But I feel like we have landed in a place that's really harmful to some of my neighbors, especially. So I feel like the long-term solution for this, and I had a conversation with the town supervisor, is that all 4 courts should be moved. And the courts in Hamlin should be tennis ball courts that aren't as noisy and disruptive. I've come to call it the intolerable zone, and I don't think we should have an intolerable zone where it's just not kind of survivable to live next to these courts. So I think that's the long-term solution. And I think it's really important that there's action taken really swiftly that are some short-term things. I think the best would be to suspend play, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago. There's plenty of room to play at South Street and Warren and West Falls if somebody needs to play right now while we're figuring this out. I feel like it's really important to have this process guided by due diligence, hiring a sound engineer to get the information about what is reasonable. I talked to Maureen earlier today, and I understand why it's tricky to figure out the costs right now because bills still haven't come in, but to have an accounting for the public of what is the total amount of dollars, Matt, maybe including even staff time, to have, you guys made gorgeous courts and everybody wants to play on them. So I would recommend that we take the $25,000 that you just got and use those to help move them to one of the other locations in cooperation with the town. So I'd love to know the full cost to build the existing ones and an estimate of the cost to move them to one of the locations in the town. So it could perhaps be South Street. It could be West Falls, where there's a location that would have less impact on neighbors. I guess the final thing I would say is I would love a few years from now for our community to be able to say when a problem arises, the village and town governments get together and figure out a way to solve them by working cooperatively together. And this can be a place where that happens to the benefit of the community. So appreciate it. Thank you.
We, not let her go on.
Oh, hi. Come on up. Laura.
Hi, I'm Andrea O'Sullivan. I live at 503 Griggs Place. We're the house on Griggs where there's no house across the street. We look right into the park. We look at these courts, which are so beautiful. And I was recently appointed to the Village Parks Committee. We had our first meeting last week with members and with trustees Ernie and Steve, and had a really good conversation about many different issues that the committee will look at. Because I'm on that committee, many of our neighbors on Sycamore and Griggs and Linden have been reaching out to me with the noise concern. And I'm a public policy lawyer by day, so I started to look into why are there all these lawsuits that are in a national news story almost every week right now around pickleball noise. And it is, again, none of us want to be talking about this. We're so happy to see more activity in the park, but it is interesting that this is causing issues all around the country. And so I looked at those lawsuits, which actually are quite successful. Dozens of lawsuits are being won by homeowners saying that the nearby sound of pickleball violates their municipality's noise ordinance. And it's not just decibel level. I know that was talked about at a previous meeting. I've gone in the weeds of this. And one interesting piece is that pickleball actually has a high pitch frequency. It's 1.2 kilohertz. And that's the same frequency as a reversing garbage truck, the beeping noise of that. And obviously that truck beeping is a frequency that was designed to get your attention, to almost irritate you and wake you up. It's supposed to be annoying, right? So you don't get hit by the truck. So that's the assessment, is that accidentally pickleball creates that same frequency because of the hard paddle and the hard ball. And that's why it's so annoying, because of course, everybody on the park, we love to hear the kids playing football. We love to hear the rec department kids. Tennis in the park was never an issue, even though it was played even into the night with lights. So that's, I think, why this one is an issue. And it was interesting to me that the lawsuits are based on the noise ordinance, which of course you're all familiar with, but it starts out, really saying the making and creating of disturbing, excessive, or offensive noises within the village are a detriment to the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents. Every person is entitled to an environment in which disturbing, excessive, or offensive noise is not detrimental to his or her life, health, or enjoyment of property. On Griggs, I will say, I think neighbors can't read on their front porches anymore. Everyone's talking about that. With the windows closed, working from home, you can hear the ball sound. I don't think Griggs neighbors, that's definitely changing our day-to-day life, but it's not so extreme, of course, as the Sycamore folks. And really, I'm here as a member of the Parks Committee to say, I'm very concerned that there will be a lawsuit here in the village. I think some of the Sycamore neighbors are feeling a very deep effect to their daily life and their daily health. And because there's so many stories, we know that these noise lawsuits are succeeding in other places. So I would kind of join in asking you as the board to show some step, whether it's limiting the hours, some step now to say, we hear you residents, we know that this is perhaps not what we expected. The sound is much more intense. And we can now take a season of the fall and the winter when the sport won't be played anyway in the winter to figure out what are we going to do about this. But I think some step is really important to show understanding and concern about this. And really, finally, I'll wrap up quickly. It's interesting, in the village noise ordinance, there's these examples of, for example, an alarm system that is continuous and exceeds 15 minutes is not allowed. Obviously, this is an alarm system, but now we know it mimics a beeping noise, and it definitely exceeds 15 minutes because it's wonderful to see such a popular thing being played all day, but very hard for folks right near it. Also, it says no sound that can be heard 100 feet from its source or over any property line. So I've definitely heard neighbors saying, if we are all subject to this, I won't read them out, but of course the special use permit has a lot of considerations around sound when you grant those permits. Why can the village decide to disregard these points of the ordinance and putting this in? So thank you. I really do come with regret. It's a really hard one because we are happy to see improvements and activity in the park, but this is just a really tricky one.
Yep. You're a great resource. Thank you, Andrea.
Great research, actually. And I gotta commend all three of these ladies were at the meeting and do a great job at doing their research and bringing things to light that need to be said. And I believe we should make a motion too, to maybe, I don't want to suspend play, but I think we should push back the hours.
That's my opening remark.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Slow your thunder.
Rachel first.
Rachel Francis, 225 Sycamore Street. Just very briefly today, I walked the 157 feet over to the pickleball court today to see if there was an hours thing posted. There has been an informal agreement among the pickleball players and the neighbors that 8 to 8 might be livable. Let's keep in mind that it's 157 feet away, but that's a good compromise for the interim, short of suspending play, while you then maybe, hopefully, work on moving it. And that was my task today. To me, and I'm sure I don't know what I'm talking about, Mr. Hay, but is that how you say it? Hey, it seems to me there are 12 holes you'd have to fill in to make it into a tennis court. You'd have to repaint it. I don't see any black topping that would need to be done. It's beautifully done. It's repainting, moving some holes, new nets. I could be wrong. I'm not as conversant about the condition of the courts over on South Street. Maybe they need new black topping. I don't know, but it doesn't look like a great expense to me. And I think it would be extremely kind to do for the neighbors. That's it.
Thanks, Rachel. Steve, you're on the Hamlet Park Committee. You were there last Thursday.
Yeah, it was a good meeting. A lot of great ideas and points were brought up. Some really good qualified people showed up, and we're actually looking for a couple more if anybody else wants to join in. And to their point, I'd actually like to make a motion to do the 8 to 8.
So how do we do that? Chris? Can we just, do we need to make a motion to do it? Do we just hang a sign on the courts that say, please limit your pickleball playing from 8 to 8? Do we put a lock on there and unlock it at 8 AM and lock it at 8 PM?
Well, the problem with locking it up and locking it, then someone's gotta go over there and unlock it. If you want something that's gonna be enforceable, then you want the board to make a decision on. You want it 8 to 8 or whatever hours.
We don't have to change the law or anything as far as park
Our
use.
code has the sound and it has like specific sounds for tennis.
Yeah, that's for
We have to
sound, but
update.
you're
for-
doing it, you don't have to update the code from the sound perspective.
But the
This-
play, like the time it's open, like tennis says it's open from whenever to whenever, like it has an exemption. Do we make an exemption for pickleball?
That should be addressed anyway
That
to
should be,
tennis, because it says it.
Till midnight.
Till midnight, it's on Friday and Saturday, but
Yeah,
there's no lights anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll have to officially change
the law.
the law for
Right, so you
that.
gotta retweak it.
We can make an exemption for pickleball.
But changing the law isn't something we can do sitting here right
but you
now.
can't do that.
So what I'm saying is, what do we do if we want to
But
address that
you
right
can
now?
deal with it in terms of scheduling the hours right now, just temporarily.
Until we can make permanent changes.
Yes, kind of like a moratorium on construction. Yeah,
Yeah.
those happen all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Until you can review the law and then make the changes.
So how,
That's in essence, that kind of a moratorium, you're just changing the hours.
how do we enforce it then? If we say, we put a sign out there and say 8 AM to 8 PM for pickleball, and someone goes out at 7:30. So then the neighbor calls the police can go over there and then,
Please stop playing, the sign says you can't.
what?
The police would go over and say, please stop playing, the
Right.
sign says you're not supposed to be playing it now.
Right, I'm just wondering about enforceability.
At that point, until it's actually a law, that's all we can do.
Okay.
But most people, I think, would
Be cool
be
with us.
okay with that.
Could be.
Alright, and then we can look into, did you guys discuss the noise absorbing mats to go on the fences? And
We
the
did,
north-south
we
fences?
did. We want to look into that more.
Mhm.
Get some pricing. Go over the options.
Mhm.
And part of this is just to buy some time so we can.
Get us there.
Okay.
And I think there's a gentleman that wanted.
John?
get you, sir. Yeah, you ready? Come on up. Thank you, sir. Name and.
John Saghetti, 1050 Chevelle. Hello, everybody. Couple weeks ago, we were in here on this discussion of pickleball, and I think the three largest comments that came up was one, there was a blower at 7 or 6:45 in the morning. 2 was that we were playing music. And 3 was they want to change the times. I think we've corrected most of that. I can only speak for the days that I'm there, but that's almost most days at 7:30. I haven't seen a blowout or music played at all. As far as times, we took it from 7 to 7:30. I don't speak for everybody else. My perspective, 8 o'clock works for me, so I have no problem with it. There might be other people. But what I do find troubling is a couple people have been emailing and have been saying they want to be on this committee. And I actually personally showed up at the committee and said, is this committee about pickleball? And they said, no, it's about the park. We haven't appointed anybody new for the pickleball discussion. And today I hear that I think there might have been 2 new people appointed to it. And I just want to reiterate that there are people that are pro pickleball, Tracy Gavin, for one, that would like to be on that committee to have a voice.
No, what we mentioned with the meeting, what I think the guy said it is that this isn't just about the pickleball issue, it's the broader
My
aspects.
understanding after we left is 90% of the conversation was about pickleball. I could be wrong, but we got that from somebody that was at the meeting. I specifically asked, is the bulk of this meeting be about pickleball today? And I was specifically told no, so I got up and left. If I was told yes, I would have stayed. But again, it's not putting here. So the first thing I want to say is thank you for putting them there. I was there this morning from 8 to 10. There were 24 people out there. This isn't going away. This is a sport that is growing, not decreasing. And so we have to figure it out. But I think you need both sides. I mean, I don't know how many people live around the park, but let's just say that's 70. I can show you an app with 280 people for pickleball. And if you call most of them, 90% of them would say, let's keep it the way it is. You just got to listen to both sides. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Him?
Yeah.
No, keep it up front. Keep it up front.
No,
you can talk after.
Yeah.
You gotta come up.
It was our fault what happened at the meeting. Stephen or he were just planning to take it to for when the Parks Committee would be regularly, and then a couple of the group members wanted to bring up. That's
All right, so right now we're talking about 8 to 8, which doesn't sound like it's too big of a hardship on either side. Do we make a motion or?
Yes.
Official motion? Anybody want to make a motion to make the pickleball hours from 8 to 8?
I'll move forward with that.
By Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? I think it's a step forward in figuring out how we can make this work for all, whether it's, trying to figure out a way to change the paddles and the balls people use, or the noise abatement, curtains that go on the fences, or moving it, or whatever. So
just
at
a
least
quick question.
steps
Pete.
forward.
That
Come on up.
yeah, I wanted to ask. Those were the hours that when you came in and we briefly discussed pickleball, you said we talked to some other people. Okay, that was the
8
comment.
and 8
Okay,
is very
I
fair
just
for
want to make sure we were
Okay.
talking the same.
Changing the paddles and the balls, we play.
Name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer Sagatti, 1050 Chevelle Road. Changing the paddles and the balls, a lot of us play in tournaments all over the place, and they have to be regulated, so the paddles cannot be changed. Those are
one of the suggestions.
Yeah, I'm just trying to educate everybody on that too, so. Yeah. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
All right, so we got a motion, God bless you, by Steve, and a second by Kristen to make the pickleball playable hours from 8 AM to 8 PM, 7 days a week. I assume. 7 days. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. You want to work with Matt on getting a sign? Maybe on both sides? Where each gate is in pickleball time?
As soon as we draft the change.
All right, speakers and communications, anybody else on anything? No. All right, department head report, Shane.
I regularly or monthly, I should say, have a meeting with the fire chief and Eric Conley, one of the managers from AMR. Maureen sat in with us this past Friday on our meeting, and we discussed a couple issues and a couple of concerns. I felt they responded appropriately to our concerns, and we're gonna keep working with them to help get the best service we can for the community. I thought it was a fairly good meeting, and that's all I got.
Do we have any update from the county on?
Nobody
on the
knows
rollout?
nothing.
They're still hiring?
From my understanding, they have one ambulance on the road and that's it at this point. But it's not anywhere near here. They're poaching employees from other ambulance companies, which isn't going over well, and it's just kind of
Well, that doesn't help the overall coverage, right?
No, it's you know, you can only hire as many employees that want to work in that position in this field, in this area. AMR is actually putting people through training to hire them and hiring them while they train. So I don't know where Erie County is going to get their employees from.
Do they have some sort of training? Do you know if they have any kind of training program?
Erie County?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe so. ECC and the local colleges do.
The standard stuff, they don't have any sort of expedited.
No, not like AMR is putting people
Right.
through.
And the county's gonna have ultimately with their new program 5 more ambulances?
I've heard various numbers. So I don't know how that's gonna work. And what their responsibilities are gonna be and what our criteria to call them is. So we'll see when that arrives.
But meanwhile, we need AMR to improve their hot and cold call time.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their numbers for the last quarter, they are in that they fit into the contractual times.
Yeah, the contractual times are based on national standards. But it's just when we do get a call that takes 20 minutes for an ambulance to show up. That's a problem, you know.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
that call you're speaking of was a cold call.
That's considered a cold call?
Yeah, that there's no immediate medical care that individual could have been given other than cooling them off. It's scary. It's a horrible, it was a seizure call. And a young person, very young person, and it's a terrifying if you have no background in that.
Holding this kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
From what I understand, the seizure took 2 minutes or whatever, and they call, the seizure ended, right?
Right.
And so then the ambulance then prioritizes it differently, maybe, and they're like, all right, well.
Well, and the explanation that was given to Maureen and I was, and they had the data of how many calls were going on throughout the county at that time. We had a call somewhere out in this area just prior to that went to the hospital. As that ambulance left the hospital, there was another hot call that they were closest to, so they took that, and they were playing a shell game. And then the next closest was to come out here, and they prioritize every call, whether it's life-saving, transport, you know, and all their technical terms. And this one wasn't on the top of the list.
So that Eric Conley?
Yeah.
So he was, I mean, so basically if somebody cut their arm off, they would have gotten their.
That according to what he told us, that would have been a different story. Okay. If it was a heart attack, if it was a stroke, if it was a severe bleed, yeah, it would have been a different story.
Okay. Yeah, I looked at the times, the last 3 quarters for their hot and cold call. And you're right, they're within the contract times.
Yeah.
But still, just, you know, they're actually better in the town than they were the village, weren't they? Was it 9 and 16 for hot and cold in the village?
Well, there are less calls, I think, out in the town, but
true.
The one concern I did bring up to them, and they're gonna do a little more digging into it, is when my dispatchers call them off before they arrive on location. In particular, the hot calls. And there was a couple handfuls of those calls in the last quarter. My opinion to them was, the reason we called them off is because they were coming from the town of Evans or wherever. And it was gonna take them more time than my dispatchers or the fire personnel on location wanted to wait. So we canceled them and found another ambulance that was closer.
Hmm.
My point to them was, if we don't cancel you, you're violating the contract with those times coming in. And they kind of looked at me and said, maybe. I said, well, we need to address that. So we're gonna work with them on that.
And as far as our flight car, from what I understand, when I talked to the folks, they said, there's five folks that are authorized to do the fly car.
Yeah.
Work. And they all have jobs because they're volunteers.
Sure.
But they all happen to be doing something busy at their job and they can't get away, then.
Yeah, I have zero
fly car
complaint
somewhere else.
with those guys. They respond to a lot of calls.
Yeah. I think they said they make 75% or something.
Yeah, it's pretty high for volunteers, so.
Right.
They're fast.
Yeah.
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 Could we utilize a second fly car?
Well, it's
Personnel.
just the personnel availability.
Okay.
I think it's the people, not the car.
Yeah. That was a good move.
Great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Department. Fire department.
but with, not to be forgotten is all these calls do have a police officer on location.
Mhm.
So if it's a heart attack and an AED is needed, or it's a severe bleed and first aid's needed, the police officers can handle
They got paddles, they got
that.
tourniquets,
Yeah.
right? I mean.
Yep.
Mhm.
So.
Not just a hat rack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're not just there to look pretty.
Not there to look
But
pretty.
you do that too. All right. Anybody else have anything for Shane? Thank you, Shane. How are the new guys working out? You got, one's going through.
One's
the
in field training right now and one's in the academy, so too early to tell, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
All right, thank you, Shane. Matthew?
Nothing this evening, sir.
All right, and Liz?
Nothing.
You good? All right, Maureen? What? Not nothing?
Nothing, we're good.
Oh.
Very good. Steve?
Nothing other than the Parks Committee met for the first time. Came up with a start to a mission statement and met in pickleball was a topic of discussion. And when we had mentioned when we first met that we didn't want the whole committee to be just about this one issue that hopefully will be going away soon if we come up with the proper solutions, and more about the master plan and the longevity of the park. So it went well. A lot of good people came, a lot of good ideas.
Very good. Thanks for doing that, Steve. I know it's a hot button right now, so appreciate you helping navigate that. Molly?
I'm good. Thanks.
Grace?
What's up?
Kristen?
All set.
All right. I was lucky enough and honored to introduce the Air Force Rhythm in Blue Jazz Ensemble, the Air Force Band out of Langley. Over at the Roycroft, they're playing, well, they just finished, but they started out great. They had a nice big crowd there out on the lawn. It was really neat.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, one of our veterans came out, a Vietnam vet.
Oh, cool.
We honored him and he gave a little talk about his experience. It was really moving, really neat. And Bud Babcock resigned after how many years from the planning commission? 30 something?
Oh, yeah, he was on forever.
Yeah. So that's a loss in experience right there. So
Wow.
we're looking for somebody to fill that role. And we'll honor him appropriately at some point. He just stepped off. So that's that. After that, I would like to ask for a motion to move into executive session to discuss pending litigation.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second
by Steve. Further discussion? We don't intend on voting on anything after we come out of executive session. You're welcome to stick around if you want.
Oh.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? So we are now in exec session.